In the previous chapter, we saw how Russia's intelligence aircraft prompted an expanded American response. On the second day, the United States dispatched more than just F-16s, an E-3 Sentry early warning plane and an extra KC-135 tanker joined the mission, setting the stage for a heightened game of aerial chess over Alaska's cold skies. But what happened next revealed far more than routine interceptions. No borders were crossed, no laws broken, yet the silence around the skies was charged with tension. The Russian plane was shadowed relentlessly, every move tracked, every signal scrutinized. This wasn't just about spotting a single aircraft, it was a tactical dance aiming to map power, to understand intentions, and keep the balance on a precarious edge. Below the roar of jet engines and the hiss of refueling hoses, a hidden network hummed with data streams linking ground stations and airborne sentinels. The E-3 sweeping radar eyes expanded the battlefield into a three-dimensional puzzle filled with coded transmissions and electronic footprints. The F-16s, sleek and swift, held their positions like sentinels against the frozen horizon while the tanker gracefully loomed, an aerial lifeline keeping the operation alive. This careful choreography unfolded entirely within the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, a sky corridor just beyond sovereign airspace but under strict watch. It's a thin line where every unidentified blip demands inquiry, every shadow must explain its presence. The procedure is precise: approach calmly, establish communication if possible. Verify identity through cockpit markings and antenna configurations, all while keeping a safe, respectful distance. Pilots remain alert for sudden changes, ready to adjust positioning or execute emergency fuel protocols. Could such a technical ballet actually disguise deeper strategic intent? Was this relentless monitoring merely cautious security, or a silent message broadcast on invisible waves? In a realm where every flutter of radar can change the stakes, the true story lies not in violations but in control, a game where seeing is power, and every flight adds another brushstroke to the emergent picture of Arctic dominance. As dusk settled over this vast, icy theater, one question echoed through command centers and briefing rooms alike: how far would this dance go before a cord snapped, and calm gave way to confrontation? Previously, we explored how careful fuel and interception scheduling keeps every Arctic sector covered at all times. This intense planning is more than logistics, it's about survival and security amid Alaska's strategic significance. A vast stretch of icy sea, spanning hundreds of kilometers, separates the Americas from Asia. Through this narrow corridor, known as the Bering Strait, both military and civilian vessels navigate. These northern routes are lucrative shortcuts, offering precious hours saved and alternative paths to avoid congested corridors farther south. On the American side, major hubs, JBER, ISON, and CLEAR, form an integrated early warning and rapid response network. Meanwhile, Fort Glay guards the landward perimeter, dedicated to securing northern approaches. This layered defense means that Alaska's interceptions are never isolated aerial scrambles. They weave into a complex, multi-domain chessboard, where air patrols synchronize with ground-based radar and sensor arrays. In the Arctic's desolate expanse, saying "I saw something" carries weight equal to "I recorded what I saw." This nuance sharpens the U.S. Air Command's response to Russian reconnaissance planes shadowing Alaska on consecutive days. Such repeated engagements aren't chance, they speak of rigid surveillance routines designed to map each electronic pulse and radar flicker. Yet, beneath this technical dance lies a potent psychological game. Photographs of leaders smiling on polished stages can belie hardened operators snapping to attention at consoles thousands of miles away. Each intercepted flight signals an unspoken question: which enemy radars are active? At what frequency? How will they react? These probing probes happen just short of crossing safety lines, each maneuver calibrated to avoid disaster while pressing boundaries. This intricate balance rests on shared, albeit wary, understanding, rules of engagement etched into daily practice. The surge in identification zone traffic during tense moments reflects habit more than hostile intent. Both Russia and the U.S. meticulously catalog these encounters, like graffiti etched into the fabric of geopolitical rivalry. When diplomacy cools, these rules blur; when politics flare, tensions spike sharply. Ironically, the clearer the rules become, the more intense the shadow warfare over Alaska grows. Previous moments revealed how rising tensions sharpen technical protocols, making rules clearer but raising stakes. Today, Moscow's words echo with history, yet beneath the speeches lies a far colder, relentless game. Why does a sweatshirt bearing the letters USSR ignite political sparks across oceans? Imagine the crackle of radio static mingling with the icy Arctic wind. This is not mere symbolism, it's a message etched deep into Russia's domestic narrative. Yet, officials insist it's not a call to revive old empires. So what is the real meaning behind these ghostly reminders? Flight paths cutting over Alaska reflect a calculated choreography, detached from rhetoric but driven by raw data, range, signals, fuel endurance. Each patrol etches invisible lines on the radar screens of Jabir, Ilsen, and Clear bases. These three form a complex web, a trio linking early warnings, aerial tracking, and the unending need to stay airborne. Nearby, Fort Glay stands like a fortress forged for layered defense against shadowy northern threats. Can you hear the distant hum of coastal radar slicing through fog and snow? Maritime patrols sync tightly with the air picture, weaving a fabric of surveillance so dense every untoward blip triggers a cascade of decisions in moments. From the cold tarmac, endless lines of support personnel prepare runway packs and fuel reserves. Every hand's movement, every engine roar, ensures no sector slips quietly into vulnerability. Arctic frost bites deeper when resupply becomes a race against freezing winds and darkness. Backup runways, hidden in the wilderness, hold the threat of survival. The dance of tankers refueling fighters is more than logistics, it is the lifeblood of continuous watchfulness. Prevention transforms into a ritualized precision, sturdy, measured, unyielding. What if the next unidentified blip does not respond as expected? Would centuries of layered history crack the icy calm into chaos? The stakes are steel-hard, the sky turning ever colder, yet eyes remain sharp, watching, recording, enduring. What happens when icy Arctic skies become the stage for a high-stakes game of nerves? Picture cold metal wings cutting through frigid, biting air just off Alaska's coast, a place where silence reigns, but tension crackles like static in every radar pulse. Russian reconnaissance planes probe the edges of U.S. defenses, but how close is too close before a spark ignites? Building on earlier lessons in restraint and strength, U.S. forces sharpen their discipline to an almost surgical edge. Each move against the probing Russian IL-20M is guided by strict protocols etched into safety cards, where no surprises are allowed. The crackle of radios fills cockpits with clear, clipped commands, while flashing lights communicate silent warnings amid the endless Arctic twilight. Every approach, every maneuver is recorded in chilling precision. Cameras catch the glint of metal inches apart, sensors trace the subtle shifts in path and posture. This methodical dance is far from routine. On these back-to-back days, August 20th and 21st, each intercepted flight feeds a complex web of intelligence that expands far beyond the cold northern borders. Every signal caught, every frequency mapped, strengthens alliances thousands of miles away. Satellite eyes and maritime radars merge data with NORAD's reports, composing a living mosaic of the Arctic's invisible battle space. What first looked like isolated skirmishes are revealed as vital cogs in a vast defense network where each contact is an asset, a fact etched in digital records accessible instantly when crisis looms. In this frozen arena, that rapid access becomes a lifeline when seconds decide fates. Looking deeper, the political echoes of global leaders' meetings cast long shadows over these missions. What seems like calculated restraint is actually a measured response, not a threat, but a careful gauge of intent and limitation. So, in the quiet Arctic, where ice and steel meet above endless white, the real clash is in data, discipline, and patience. But how long will this icy balance hold before it turns? Just as tension seemed confined to cautious plays of detection and response, could these routine flights mask a far darker agenda lurking beneath the Arctic's pristine skies? After the initial showdown following a high-profile summit, the curtain rose on a hidden, ongoing battle. The so-called procedural calm was anything but passive. Previously, we saw how political signals translated into measured military moves. This was not a formal threat, but a calculated dance between rival powers. Now, the story reveals that the layered defense network, the ADIS protocols, the synchronized command chain, operated flawlessly. The American F-16 fighters, E-3 early warning aircraft, and KC-135 tankers formed a defensive trio, ensuring the skies above Alaska stayed under intense watch. The Russian IL-20M reconnaissance planes were no mere trespassers, they were meticulously gathering electronic fingerprints, seeking gaps in the U.S. defensive shield. Each flight dissected radar emissions and communications, probing how fast and forceful American responses could be. The U.S. reacted not with aggression but with tight control, capturing the data and sealing the encounter without flare-ups. Yet beneath this controlled engagement simmers an unrelenting competition. The Arctic, a new frontier for resources, shipping routes, and technological dominance, is becoming a chessboard. As long as stakes remain high, these aerial cat-and-mouse games will persist. Mistakes could spark conflict, the absolute enemy to fragile peace. This episode underlines one truth: the military discipline keeping risk at bay is the real safeguard against disaster. 2 days of encounters showcased precision, patience, and balance, the difference between vigilance and chaos. But here comes the shocking twist: intelligence reports have quietly flagged a sudden, unexplained spike in electronic interference during recent flights. What if these aren't simple reconnaissance missions? What if a silent signal war has erupted, one that aims not just to watch but to blind, distort, and perhaps trigger a hidden chain reaction? The Arctic's silent battlefield may be louder than anyone dared imagine, and what lies beneath the calm skies could change everything.